All right, so have you ever stopped to think about the invisible machinery that really powers our whole global economy? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest, yet quietest, builders out there, a company called Brookfield. These guys have built up a $1 trillion portfolio by owning all the essential, unseen stuff that our modern world absolutely depends on. So let's get into it. Okay, and this quote from their CEO, Bruce Flatt, really just sets the entire stage, doesn't it? He's saying, look, it's not just about owning stuff. It's about owning the new stuff, the very backbone of our digital, greener world. I mean, think about that. It's a huge statement about just how fast things are changing, and frankly, where the really big money is going. So, what is this invisible machinery they're talking about? Well, it's basically their catchphrase for all the critical stuff that our daily lives depend on, but that we almost never actually see with our own eyes. I mean, just think about how you're even watching this right now. Behind that screen, there's this massive, hidden world at work. You've got data centers storing the information, miles and miles of fiber optic cables carrying it, and cell towers beaming it straight to your device. Yeah, that whole system, that's exactly the kind of invisible machinery Brookfield owns. Now, you can't just have a vision like that without a massive, seriously well-oiled machine to make it happen. So let's take a look at the blueprint, how they're actually structured to build and run all these critical things all over the world. Okay, so the company is basically broken down into 5 key parts. You've got infrastructure and renewable power. That's really the heart of that invisible machinery we've been talking about. And then that's backed up by more traditional things like real estate, whole businesses they buy through private equity, and of course, the financial firepower from their credit and insurance division. And this is where it gets really tangible. We're talking about huge premier office towers in major world cities, literally thousands of kilometers of pipelines, and even hydroelectric dams that are built to last for over 100 years. They even own one of the biggest producers of the wood panels used to build houses. So, you see, this isn't just numbers on a page. We're talking about the literal building blocks of our economy. All right, so we get what they own, but how does a machine this big actually make money? Well, the engine really runs on 2 different kinds of fuel. So, first up, they manage hundreds of billions of dollars for giant clients. Think pension plans and sovereign wealth funds, and they earn fees for doing that. But here's the key. They also invest their own cash right alongside those clients. And that is so important because it means they have skin in the game. When their clients make money, you better believe Brookfield makes a lot of money. And a big part of how they get paid is this thing called carried interest. Now, it sounds super complicated, but it's not. It's basically a performance bonus. Brookfield only gets a piece of the profits after their investors have already gotten a certain amount back. It's like the ultimate motivation to make sure these investments do incredibly well. Think about it. When you're investing in things that are supposed to last for a century, you have to get really, really good at seeing what's coming around the corner. So let's look at the huge global trends Brookfield is betting on and, of course, the massive risks that come along for the ride. Basically, Brookfield has placed 3 massive bets on where the world is headed. Bet number 1, decarbonization. That's the multi-trillion-dollar shift to clean energy. Bet number 2, digitalization. We just keep needing more and more data infrastructure. And bet number 3, which is fascinating, is deglobalization. This idea that global supply chains are changing, and that's going to require a ton of new infrastructure. And just to put their bet on decarbonization into perspective, look at that number. That's the amount of new renewable energy they have in their pipeline. It's just a staggering amount of clean power they're planning to build to help fuel this global energy shift. I know, it all sounds incredibly ambitious, super forward-thinking. But when you're playing at this level, with assets spread all over the globe, the potential for things to go sideways is, well, just as huge. And hey, don't take my word for it. This stuff is pulled straight from the risk factors section of their own public filings. I mean, the company flat out warns investors about everything from economic crashes and pandemics to cyberterrorism and global conflicts. It's a pretty intense reminder that when you bet on the future of the entire world, you're also exposed to all of its biggest dangers. Okay, so we've seen their vision, we've looked at the blueprint, we've checked out the engine, and we've talked about the risks. Now, let's bring this all back home. Why should you care? Why does this quiet, trillion-dollar giant even matter to you? It's because their whole strategy boils down to owning the essential and, yeah, sometimes kind of boring stuff that the world literally cannot function without. We're talking about things that last a long, long time and generate steady cash. And by owning the very foundations of the economy, they have this incredibly deep yet quiet influence over how all of us live at work. And trust me, that influence touches your life every single day, probably in ways you don't even realize. You use your phone? You're likely tapping into their cell towers or data centers. You flip on the light switch? There's a decent chance that clean power is coming from one of their plants. Driving on a major highway might be one of their toll roads. Even the house you're in could be built with wood from a company they own. Seriously, they are pretty much everywhere. And that brings us right back to that quote from the beginning, doesn't it? The idea that half of what they own today wasn't even an investment class 20 years ago. Today's invisible machinery, all these data centers, wind farms, and cell towers, that stuff was basically science fiction not too long ago. So it leaves you with a really big question. What's the invisible machinery of tomorrow? What are the things we're becoming dependent on right now that will be the next trillion-dollar investment?